How about now? Yes. All right. Planning, zoning, and historical for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019. So before I get into this, I wanted to get some feedback from the committee. And if y'all can just share your thoughts with our John Cooper. So last meeting, and it's on third reading tonight, is a piece of legislation for Council Lady Roberts District, and it's changing a street name. And so we got, for preparation for this meeting, the historical report about the street and the street name and things like that. And I was confused as to why we were getting that after our committee had already considered and passed this through, because what if this report came back and there was something in it and maybe we shouldn't have done that, whatnot. So what I've asked in communications with our John Cooper was, where did that come from? Why wasn't it on, why don't we get that before it's in committee, yada, yada, yada. So if y'all could think through if it would be more helpful to have the historic report to the committee before things pass through here, or if you like getting the historic report of the street name after we voted it through. Again, I'm just thinking we're having the chicken before we get the egg. So if y'all could think through that, and if you have any thoughts, please send them to our attorney, Cooper. You ready? Okay, cool. All right, great. I sense a quorum. And so we're going to go through the consent calendar first. So, starting with resolutions. Resolution number 1 on our agenda is RS 2019-123 by Cash, Murphy, and Henderson. And we do have a sponsor, and so it will stay on consent. A resolution authorizing Molly Green Hillsborough Village LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 1717 21st Avenue South, proposal number 2019 M033EN001. That is on consent. Resolution number 2, we do not have our sponsor, and so we're going to roll that to the heel at this time for the consent calendar. Bills on second reading, still going on consent. BL 2019-35 by Taylor and Murphy, and I do not have a sponsor, and so I'm going to roll that to the heel, and we'll come back to that on consent. BL 2019-80 by Hauser, Mendez, and others. I have a letter from Mendez, and so it will stay on consent. Authorizes the grant of 2 permanent easements to the Harpeth Valley, I want to say PTO, but Utility District of Davidson and Williamson Counties, Tennessee, on certain property owned by the Metro government. So that is on consent. BL 2019-81, Withers, Murphy, Henderson, and we have the prime sponsor here. It stays on consent. Abandons existing public sanitary sewer mains and easements, and to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrant assembly, and easements for property located at 1111 Gallatin Avenue and 1100B Greenwood. Item number 6 on consent, BL 2019-82, Hager, Murphy, Henderson, abandon, I think that's a typo. Existing public water main, and to accept new water main for 5 properties located on Hermitage Street and Center. Again, on consent because we have a sponsor. BL 2019-83, Hancock, Murphy, Henderson. It is on consent, and we have a sponsor here. Authorizes the Metro government to accept new public sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 1020C Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered, and New Providence Pass unnumbered. This is item number 7 that is on consent. Number 8, BL 2019-84, Hancock, Murphy, and Henderson, and we have a sponsor. Authorizes the Metro government to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 1020C Old Hickory Boulevard and New Providence Pass unnumbered. Item number 9, we are going to roll to the heel to try to find a district sponsor. Item number 10, not on consent. 11, not on consent. Item number 12, BL 2019-88, Gamble, Murphy, and Henderson. We have a sponsor here. Authorizes the Metropolitan government to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties at 3810 and 3825 Whites Creek Pike and Whites Creek Pike unnumbered. So that concludes our consent agenda. So running through that again, we have resolution on our calendar listed number 1, RS 2019-123. Item number 4, BL 2019-80, Hauser, Mendez, others. Number 5, BL 2019-81, Withers, Murphy, Henderson. Item number 6, BL 2019-82, Hager, Murphy, Henderson. Item number 7, BL 2019-83, Hancock, Murphy, Henderson. Item number 8, BL 2019-84, Hancock, Murphy, Henderson. Item number 12, BL 2019-88, Gamble, Murphy, Henderson. So those are our consent agenda items. And in fact, I will also add item number 2 on your agenda, RS 2019-124 by O'Connell, Murphy, Henderson, a resolution authorizing Co-working Investors, LLC, to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 501 Union Street, proposal 2019M-038EN-001. And let's just make sure. All right, that concludes our consent agenda. Can I have a motion? Having a motion, hearing a second. All in favor? Any opposition? Any abstentions? Fabulous. All of those bills pass on consent. So going to item number 3 on your agenda, BL 2019-35. I'm going to continue to roll that to the hill, hoping to get a sponsor. Then our next bill is BL 2019-85. That's going to be rolled to the heel, hoping to find a sponsor. You're not the sponsor of 4119 Murfreesboro Pike? Is that Delicia or Sandra? Delicia? Will you text them? Yeah. Okay, that's rolled to the heel. Number 10 on our calendar, BL 2019-85. The district council member's not here, so that's going to be rolled to our heel. BL 2019-87. Again, no district's council member. It is rolled to the heel for now. Let's see here. We passed that. Okay, so that takes us to bills on third reading. Number 13 on your agenda, BL 2019-6 by Henderson and Parker. It amends Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding the waiting period revocation of a short-term rental property permit. I'm going to go, do you have a motion on the bill? Hearing a motion in a second, I'm going to go to the sponsor. Councillady Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. I am bringing a substitute today that is in your packet. That substitute addresses concerns regarding the difference between a first-time permit and a renewal, with the renewal being 6 months rather than a full year for operating initially without a permit. And so I would ask that we consider, please, the substitute that is in your packet. And I'm looking for the page. I thought I had it.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on the substitute? Hearing a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the substitute? Councilman O'Connell, would you like, you're good? Okay. Hearing no discussion on the substitute. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Fabulous. We are now on the bill as substituted. Councillady Henderson, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we have brought this bill in response to community concern and as well to simplify, I think, and take out some ambiguity in our current code, wherein if you are operating without a short-term permit, by, as currently codified, is almost always going to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Current language has, upon a finding of the Board of Zoning Appeals, a waiting period of up to 1 year, and as determined by the BZA. And so this is really just taking out the ambiguity. It is making it administrative through the zoning administrator, and it has been approved by the Planning Commission at its public hearing. I think we as a body maybe got 7, 8, 9 emails around some concern. And I did check back with staff with whom I've worked on this bill, that everyone does indeed receive a courtesy reminder for renewal, and that as well there's a 1-month grace period. And so with that, I would ask that, I think we've all seen as a body a lot of stuff before the BZA regarding this permitting, and, folks come and they kind of tell their story, and then it's, well, you get 6 months and you get 9 months, and well, maybe your story's more compelling and you get 3, and so it has been gumming up the works somewhat, and I believe that this just streamlines it and takes out the ambiguity. And so I'm open to any questions that you may have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Council Lady Henderson. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I do have a question. I think it would actually be resolved by something that I know some members have talked about, some of us while we were members and some of us while we were community members. I guess, does this bill, this is a question for the sponsor, does it make any effort, is there any effort that can be reasonably made to distinguish sort of between the good faith and bad faith actors that are out there? I mean, I asked that question knowing that the correct answer in the long run is actually that the platforms all require that you have a permit in order to list. But short of that, I'm just curious if the sponsor has worked on that issue at all in this bill. Thank you.
Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And colleagues, this is on page 34 in your amendments packet, just to bring your attention to that. In response to Councilman O'Connell's question, I think the 30-day grace period, I think, is the good faith gesture that recognizes that everybody makes mistakes every now and then. But this is a business. It is an annual permit. Folks can set reminders. And as you alluded to, I have always felt the onus is on the platform. They could simply code in when you go to sign up for these that a permit is required. They could prompt with a little pop-up screen to anybody before they list, and they could likewise offer that as a service via their platform as a reminder. And then as well, our Metro staff also sends a courtesy reminder. So I think those are kind of 3 avenues, whether it is the grace period, the courtesy reminder, and the responsibility of the platform to likewise remind their operators of the same.
Thank you, Council Lady Henderson. Councilman O'Connell, do you have any more questions?
No, thank you, Madam Chair. That satisfies my question, and I intend to support the bill.
Thank you. Oh, Emily, I'm sorry. Okay, good. I hit the wrong button. You're on now. Council Lady Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. So I have concerns about this. I think we obviously need to continue to change laws to protect our neighborhoods and make sure that we're not doing, that we are keeping the fabric of a neighborhood and not disrupting the neighbors as much by creating business practices. I have concerns about this related to, I think it's great that we're changing some of the ambiguity. However, some of the things that I'm concerned with are at times that there's more than anecdotal evidence that people have tried to renew their permits and it's been lost in the shuffle, or there's not great notification. So even with a 30-day grace period, my concern is that we're sending one notice out, and I have many short-term rental owners who have said they don't receive that. Now, my question is, are they then non-owner occupied and they're not getting it at their house where they should have an owner-occupied permit, which is, of course, a problem. The second thing that I think about when this is a penalty fee. So, for instance, with my car tags, when they expire, right? So, first of all, I receive something in the mail saying that they're going to expire. Secondly, if I let them lapse, then I could get a ticket, right? But I could also just go reinstate them. Now, I think that we really have an opportunity here to institute a fine of some sort, instead of just canceling it for 1 year. I think that would be a bit more fair. Again, however, making sure that homeowners, overall are taken care of. So as I think of that, I also think that, what can we do to improve the process of renewing that? Is there a way that we could send emails? Is there something, with our limited IT infrastructure or ability to make changes, is there a way that we could not just mail them, but also email them? I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to improve this process before we set a line that says it is 12 months, period, paragraph. So I do not plan to sponsor, or to, I plan to vote against this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady Benedict. I will tell you, we do not have a late fee for our tag renewal, which is one reason why I'm a little late right now. So, Council Lady Henderson, Council Lady Henderson, do you have you had an opportunity to discuss with codes any type of, and also or with legal about our limited ability to fine and fee people more than $50 for things, or do you have any information on that regard?
Regarding, failure as to reminders, I would chair if Council Lady Benedict says she has many constituents for whom that's been a problem. I would ask please her to quantify how many, because in my conversations with staff, I do think anecdotally there are folks who express, and again, I think I counted last time, but I don't believe we received more than 8 or 9 emails indicating that concern, and not that particular concern, but just an allusion to that concern. I think we had perhaps 1 or 2 individuals who said that they had not been notified. And so I forwarded that to staff for follow-up. And so my impression from staff is that people are being duly notified at the address that they have listed, and that is for a renewal permit, so I would clarify. And then for the initial operating permit, that is operating without a permit ever at all. And I think as we ventured into this space and what is kind of a new and emerging model at the end of last term, I think there was plausible deniability that folks were not aware perhaps that they had to have a permit. But this has been an ongoing, very public conversation in our community for 5 years now. And so that initial operating permit is the only one that is set at a year. And again, I would assert that the onus is on the platform. If operators and others care so very much about that and are worried that they are not being made aware that the operators and the platforms could work together to notify anybody who is trying to list on their platform.
Council Lady Henderson, do you know if the letters are sent certified mail or just stamped and mailed boxed?
Mr. Cooper, can you speak to that?
I don't know for sure, but I'm almost certain that it's just mailed. I don't think it's certified.
Okay.
So maybe that's something we should consider in a future conversation, is whether we should maybe make these certified, but I
appreciate that, and I believe
throwing
Mr.
other
Herbert
ideas
is going to be in Codes Committee. This bill is also referred to Codes, and
Okay.
so I would hope that he could answer that
Yes.
at that time.
Perfect. Thank you, Council Lady Henderson. Council Lady Welch.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Just kidding, sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
Everybody's always cutting me off there, Kathleen. What can I tell you?
You can't win.
I am in support of this bill. I feel like these are businesses and we need to treat them as such. I can't imagine why we would coddle short-term rental owners with certified mail when we don't get certified mail for notifications of anything else. If there's problems with paperwork being received in the office, perhaps we need to have a time-stamped receipt system that people get that shows you, in fact, did turn it in on time, and give people, a chance to bring the paperwork back in and acknowledge our bad, we're not going to punish you. But this is a business, and if I'm not mistaken, the permits are hanging on the wall inside the business. Are they required to be visible? So you can highlight the date that your permit is expiring, and so you know. So I think this is actually a pretty minor punishment for not having a permit to operate something that so drastically affects the neighborhoods and the city of Nashville.
Thank you, Council Lady Welch. Council Lady Gamble.
Thank you, Chair, Madam Chair. I would just like to ask the sponsor, do we know how often this happens where people are operating Airbnbs without a permit because the permit has lapsed as opposed to they're just operating without a permit? Is this an issue that is occurring quite often that would address some concerns that we have where people are not operating their business appropriately? Or is it an issue of where, because I know that the permit office is backlogged. I know that people are getting permits for all kinds of things and having to wait. In fact, I've heard that if you're not in line by 7:30 in the morning, you probably won't get a permit that day, and it may be a month before you can get a permit. So I'm just curious to know how significant is this problem where people are operating without a permit because of a lapse, as opposed to just avoiding the law altogether and not operating with a permit?
Council Lady Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your question, Ms. Campbell. I do not have that quantified at present, and I think Mr. Herbert can probably speak to that in codes. I don't believe that this, the lapsing is particularly problematic, but I think we've just seen over the last few years that in BZA, just from a process standpoint, as written, just that operating without the permit, always having to be tracked through our Board of Zoning Appeals and what that means kind of for their agenda has been generally problematic, whether that's operating without to start or, contesting the renewal. But I will ask staff and get that for us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Lady Gamble, does that wrap you up? Yep. Great. Councilman Withers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe that the sponsors have responded to this concern that I had by, if I'm not mistaken, but by revising the legislation and the substitute so that for a renewal that the period is reduced to 6 months rather than a year. So I definitely appreciate that concession. In District 6 and probably similarly in 5 and 7 over in East, we do have very large numbers of short-term rental operations, including very large number of owner-occupied short-term rentals. And what I have found is that the majority of cases that I've had that have come before the BZA have been owner-occupied folks that, for whatever reason, forgot to renew. So that is a very common thing, and I do appreciate that concession that was made here. I think that is better. But I did want to circle back with sponsor Henderson to see if the idea of something like a reinstatement fee was considered. I think the chair had asked that question, and maybe we haven't had a chance to respond to it yet. But if that was something that was considered, and if it was determined to be a feasible option or not.
Council Lady Henderson.
Madam Chair, the reinstatement fee was not something yet considered. And so, that's something that we can take to staff. But I guess what I would suggest is that we have been operating as we have, somewhat problematically as to the kind of process issues of this coming through the BZA, and that it might be worthwhile while continuing the conversation regarding a reinstatement fee to see what it does for renewal when folks who are these permit holders recognize that there is a more definitive challenge to them if they fail to renew. I think often if we are more less ambiguous and more definitive, and it's very clear whether it's NASTRA or the platforms or otherwise, can communicate this. Again, they can very simply and easily code for their users, pop-ups and emails and so forth. So some onus, colleagues, is on the platform itself, and us as a city setting very clear parameters that are, very easy to remember. It is 1 year if you're operating without a permit. It is 6 months if you fail to renew. Again, everyone is mailed a reminder. Everyone has a 30-day grace period. And I would assert that if we elevate the standard, the industry will have to rise to meet it to serve their customers. And so I am very happy to look at the reinstatement fee, and I appreciate that suggestion. But I have discussed this with staff. We have deferred once before, and that was not something that came up in our conversations. So I can't say, but I would say if, we were looking at, what can we do about this issue? And that was not something that was proffered by staff, but I am happy to look at it. But I would ask that we move ahead, elevate our standards here, and if they become problematic, then we can come back to this, and you have my word that I will address that. And then in the meantime, if with staff, prior to Codes Committee and before this is on the floor, if I can clarify any of these points from committee, I would be happy to do so, and we'll try to do so.
Great. Thank you, Council Lady Henderson. I do think, and I think we've all kind of said this before, I think short-term rentals, even though we passed a big bill at the end of last term, we're like, this is something we're going to constantly be patching and layering and things like that. Council Lady Evans, you were in the queue. Did I accidentally turn you off, or do you want to, you're good? Okay, just making sure. Council Lady, I didn't want to mess it up. Council Lady Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. So I didn't quite get to the last couple of things, and since then I've heard a lot of great things, but I wholeheartedly agree. There's a lot of massaging, not just Nashville, but many cities that, that needs to be done related to this new technology, if you will, about the way that homes can be used. It certainly was designed originally to be a home sharing program, much like other ride sharing and other type of sharing environments that we have today. We'll say that when I speak about more than anecdotal stories about issues that have been had, I've heard from teachers in my district who own non-owner occupied, they've had them for years, non-owner occupied rentals, and they don't receive the renewal notices. So I feel like that's an opportunity that we need to really suss out. And so if timestamp is the way to go, I think that's great. If certified mail is the way to go, I think that's probably cost prohibitive. I'd much rather find us, put a solution in place at email notification. And I absolutely agree that if you've been operating without a permit, you should not have any way to get a permit. You should have the 12-month penalty. I think the challenge for me is that we have people who are operating legally, and they don't always receive that notice. And then again, the penalty, I think this penalty is too steep for folks who do rely on this for their income so that they can get by in the city where expenses continually grow for our residents.
Thank you, Council Lady Benedict. And I'm going to ask a question that Council Lady Allen or Henderson might be able to answer. Do you know, do we know, does the renewal go to the property address, or does it go to where your tax bill goes? Because could some of this be part of the issue? I mean, we don't have to answer that now, but if you know, I'm just wondering, but okay. We will come back to that. Councilman Hager.
Just real quick, when I sponsored 608 and I had all the co-sponsors, we fought this thing for a year to get a handle on all these STRs. Then we had the BZAs come along, and they were having subjective standards as to how long to take the permit away from them. Now we come along here and we have a standard that they have to abide by. And if they don't abide by it, then they're out for 6 months or a year. We've spent millions of dollars in trying to track some of these STRs that have been here illegally and we need a standard that the BZA can go by. Been subjective too long. I've got my own place in Florida. I've had it 18 years. I've had a management company run it. We have to abide by hotel and motel regulations and get permits on those, and I've never had a bit of problem with it. They take care of it. Now, I've had some of them come up and complain that their management company didn't follow up and get their permits within the year like they're supposed to. Well, maybe they need to get a different management company. And if you've got an STR and you've got to renew that permit every year, then it's not a right, it's a privilege to have that permit. And if you don't go and keep up with your time as to when to get that permit, that's your fault. And so I hate to be hard on them, but that's just the way it should be. It's just like in the law, we have statute of limitations. If we don't file a lawsuit within 1 year, we're out. We're out, period. So you know when that 1 year is coming up, and you better renew your permit. Thank you.
Councilman Withers.
I was just going to call the question.
The question has been called. All in favor? Aye. Any against? Thank you. And so we are on the bill as substituted. All in favor? Any against? No. Okay, so what we're going to do is raise your hand if you are against. Fabulous. I can do the math for the rest. Any abstentions? Okay, wonderful. So we are almost done, y'all. We've got some sponsors that came in, so we are back on bills on second reading. Number 3 on your calendar, BL 2019-35 by Taylor and Murphy, amends the geographical information system street and alley centerline layer for the metro government by abandoning alley number 377 right-of-way and easement. This was on consent, and so do I hear a motion? Hearing a motion and a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Let's see. Item number 9 on your calendar, BL 2019-85. I don't have a district council member on there, and so I do not know what they would prefer to happen with this. And so I'm going to defer, make a motion to defer 1 meeting. Do I have a motion? Oh, well, that's my motion. Do I have a second? Having a second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Council Lady Mayor Roberts signing on now, double checking. Okay. Item number 10, BL 2019-85, hopefully Roberts, Murphy, and Henderson. Authorizes the Metro government to abandon existing easement rights for property located at 4901 Centennial Boulevard between 49th Avenue North and Louisiana Avenue. Do I have a motion? Hearing a motion and a second. All in favor? Any abstentions? Any against? Any abstention? Bill passes. Number 11 on your calendar, BL 2019-87, Murphy and Henderson. I do not have a district council member on here and not sure what they would like to do. I'd like to make a motion to defer 1 meeting. Motion and second. All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. And just triple checking. I believe we covered it all, and we are adjourned.